This is Professor Brown Cedarberg, and we're going to look at some of the methods of the class string. So here I've developed a short program. It's called DemoStringMethods. We see that it has a main method, and then it has these variables, 3 strings. One my string's been hard-coded with the value Boston, and then front part and back part. They don't have values assigned to them yet. I've also got this variable of type int called position, and I've hard-coded it with the value 2. Now what I'd like to do is split that string my string, and we have in this example it has a value of Boston assigned to it. We want to split it at position and concatenate the back part and the front part of the word. So I'm going to call the method substring, and I'm going to have it called by the instance of the class string my string. And I'm going to pass to substring two ints, 0 and the value stored in position. And what substring will do is it'll return back the substring within my string that starts at this position 0 and goes up to but does not include the character that's at this position, and in our case that position is 2. So in our example, substring 0 position will return back the B and the O, the first two characters of the string my string. That is what's at position 0 and at position 1. I'll then call substring again. Now substring is an overloaded method, and here I'll pass it only one argument. When I pass only one argument to substring, it returns back the substring within the calling string that starts at the value passed and goes through the end of the string. So here I'm passing to substring 2. It'll give me back the substring STON, and that'll be stored here in the variable back part. So now I have two variables that have values in them, front part and back part. Front part has B and O, back part STON. I'm simply going to concatenate those two, back part and front part, using the concatenation operator, and store it back into the space my string, overwriting the value in my string. And then we'll just simply print it out. So let's see if this will compile. And after it's compiled, we'd like to run it, and we expect that we'll have printed to the screen the string STONBO. And so as we run it, that is indeed what we have printed to the screen. Now what I'd like to do is get away from hard coding this value position. I'd like to be able to select a position at random. So let's look at generating a random number. There are a number of ways to generate a random number. One is this. I'm going to import java.util.random and thereby give me access to the methods within that class. Now, many of the methods, so let's do that here. So I'll have an instance of the class random. I'm going to name it RNG, and I'll create it with the keyword new, repeat the class name, and then have my open and close parentheses. So here I have an instance of the class random, and I've called it RNG for random number generator. Now, the method that I want to use will give me back a random number from 0 up to but not including the int that I'll pass into that method, next int. What I'd like to do is I'd like to use a random number to pick a character in this, a position in this my string. So if I were to change the value of my string, I could just pick a random character. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that what I pass to next int will facilitate me getting back a valid number. So I know that next int, the method, will give me back a number between 0 up to but not including the value passed to it. Now, I also know that there is a method in the string class called length, and it will return back to me the length, the number of characters in the calling object. So I'm going to, right here, declare a new variable of type int, and I'm going to call it length. I'm going to call it length of string, but I'm going to put it right in here. Let me do that here. I'll have an int called length of string, and into it I'm going to put the value that's returned when I have my string call the method length. That'll return back a number that is the number of characters in the string my string. So for us it'll return back 6. We know in our example it'll return back 6. There's 6 characters in Boston. What I'd like to do is use that value to generate a random number that will give me one of the positions, a valid position within my string. So I won't hard code this 2 as I have here. I won't hard code a number. So I know that I'd like to use the method nextInt of the class random, but I have to call it using this instance. So I'm going to have RNG call the method nextInt, and I'm going to pass to it the value that was returned back by this line that will give me the length of the calling object myString. Now I know that nextInt will give me back a number from 0 up to but not including the value passed into it. In this case, that's length of string. In our example, that's 6. So nextInt will get the value 6. It'll give me back a value 0 through 5. I know that the characters of Boston index starting at 0 and go up through 5. Remember, if I index at 0, my last index is 1 less than the length. So nextInt will indeed give me back a number from 0 through 1 less than the length of the string, this value that's passed into it. So into position will go a random number that will be a valid position within this string. Now I've used position as the variable that I pass to here substring and substring again. So I should be able to compile and run this and have a randomly generated number at position. So let's run it, and you'll see that it's split at the n, so it's n BOSTO. If I run this again, I'll get a different value, and should every time get a different. Here I have, again, I split right here at the B. Let's run it again. And each time I should split at a different position within the bounds of random number generator, but I'll always have a valid run. And there I am. So here we've seen some of the methods of the class string. We've seen how to generate a random number and to use that random number with our other methods in order to facilitate, in this case, the breaking of a string, the splitting of it, and the concatenation of the two parts back to produce a new string. Thank you very much.